Okay, so as I am in this transitional phase of my life at 55 years old coming on, and it's usually when these things start happening to me, whenever I'm very aware, around October, late September, I expect this. I expect this reward, this blessing of grace for me to have and hold on to and cherish amongst the midst of normalcy, of everyday work and everyday communicating with people, to really step outside of that life or outside experience, if you must, and wait. Okay, John Ray Broussard here, talking about just, going through a transition in my life at a good point. I was born October 4th, 1970, so I'm about to turn 55 in a couple days. So, and I always wondered as a kid what my 55-year-old self would look like. And here we go. So it's not too bad. I definitely don't look like my grandfather or anybody I could think of that was 55 when I was younger that I could recall, However, going back and looking at pictures and whatnot, everything's true to form, pretty much. I mean, they just appeared older looking to me as a child. But of course, once you become this age, well, you never think you look bad. Anyway, well, if you believe that you look good. So, but that's what the combination of these teachings I've just been learning from Carl Jung, the brilliant psychologist of the 20th century, in our own century. So it's interesting. Well, he and Freud were partners, and then they split up. But the way he ended up attracting me was through the shadow work. Over the years, I've heard people talk about the shadow or something, shadow work and whatnot, but never have I understood it, looked into it, cared, whatever. Well, for some reason, this came to me a week ago, and so at this time of my life, every year, I mean, for a long time, I just know I get these, I call them graces. It's like my bonus time. I'm being paid my bonus. Life is paying me my bonus, and that bonus being clarity of mind in every situation, in every conversation. So, in learning about the shadow self from his point of view, I'm just so thankful that I have such intricate memories, details, ability to reproduce going forward in terms of everything emotional intelligence, i.e. self-improvement, self-regulation, which I call total thought regulation, which will get you to the point of where Jung is taking you. Where Jung is taking you is to get in touch with your shadow person. The shadow person being, simply put, whoever it is throughout the day that you're living your life, you're having some kind of conversation. How do you think? I mean, you got to be having conversations with someone or something. You may not be able to see it, but it's just an imaginary thing. It's it's an illusion, but you know, just like an emotional pain or an emotional ting, you can't, yeah, it's not a cut that you could see and sew up and make better. It's something you can't, it's a wound, but that wound's still there. And if they're not, if they don't heal right, it's detrimental, you know. And through some of my this type of work, you know, which is psychological and spiritual, but it's more, it's scientific. I mean, it's like the proof of, just like you can't see the cut that you left somewhere because that guy said you were an idiot. You know, whatever that, okay, guy says, hey, you idiot. What you gonna? Hey, some of us laugh it off. No matter which way we respond to that or react, in some cases, doesn't matter. It's the damage was done. As soon as the idiot, boom, it hits you, and what you do forward, what whoever chooses to do forward from that point with it, that's what makes a difference. You could, yeah, blow it off and whatnot. However, what about him calling me an idiot? Is there any part of that I can relate to in my past, or that I can make sense of this? Is there something that needs to be healed that's deeper? I mean, even in walking into a store yesterday, I feel so in tune. It's crazy. So there's two girls, one behind the counter, one on the backside. You can tell one of them was a friend and the other was working, so they're visiting at work. Well, as I go to walk around, I felt this feeling of I was being judged, maybe. But okay, but this is me now. So as soon as I get that feeling of uneasiness, I catch it. I'm like, okay, wait, what just happened? And I figure out what I just said. It was that. And I was able to see it totally different. Like, it dissolved eventually. So as I'm thinking about, wait, why did I just get that ting? Because if you get a ting from something, it's because something is buried deep down. You may not remember. It's a trauma of some sort that until it's like out of your system, until you deal with it in a certain, whatever way works for you. But I tell you, for me, this shit's working great. I mean, it's brilliant. I think it's man, with my bring it left with you right concept, you know, for like first responders, like I say, or anybody in their everyday life, jump into that first responder mode, bring it left with you, squeeze your right hand, consciously acknowledging the left side of the brain to be dominant, which is the non-emotional brain, the logical brain, the masculine brain, the organized brain. All right? Reason for our first responders. Reason, how can we as everyday people be think like a first responder, or imagine what it would be like to be a first responder? Guess what? You're a first responder every day to everything you witness, and you don't know what you're going to witness at any given time. Sometimes we get warnings, sometimes we don't. Regardless, when those things hit us, it's life. Every single thing is a process. Some things is a faster process, some slower. But we in it for the journey, right? So I was once told, when I was painting a bedroom for my daughter, and I'm Russian, you know, my father-in-law stops me. He says, John, you're supposed to enjoy the journey more than the end of the hike. So if we enjoy together painting this room, we'll never forget it. And true to cause, right? I mean, so, but that's how powerful our minds are. I mean, look, you can condition yourself to do the right thing or do the wrong thing. You're right, maybe somebody else is wrong. You're wrong, maybe somebody else is right. It doesn't matter. But you're the only one who can see through your eyes. So, the combination of Carl Jung's studies of the shadow self, which is, I could understand because one of my first books that changed my life was The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Dr. Murphy. And true to cause, again, I've never used that word in my life, but for the first time I've experienced it, so it's the only thing I could put together to describe what I'm talking about. What Jung did was gave me a way to integrate the two, the subconscious and the conscious mind. Like he talks about, man, you got to deal with some demons. You know, you got some things like to achieve this level of awakening. That's molecular. Okay, let's take everything fake, everything. Let's get raw. You know, all my life I was, you know, I was encouraged to let go and let God. And you know, being raised the Catholic way, having the Catholic guilt, I needed to break away from that. How do I get away from that guilt? Why do I feel guilt of other things? Like, I don't know why. It's to find out why. To figure out, okay, here's what brings me to that. How to get to that hard point. But once you feel that stick, like I'm feeling right here, I feel it. It's like something's pushing downward like this, but just a little spot. It doesn't hurt bad. It's just like a knot. It causes like a knot in your stomach. That's the way I could put it. And I lived with that knot for many years. Oh my God, horrible. The anxiety knot. Anyway. And worried every day of my life. I had migraines, headaches daily for years. I can't believe I live, like, had I known then what I know now, right? We always say that, but man, you know, and especially the knowing what I know today with my parents, so much they didn't know because, well, just a time thing, you know, in terms of just the different shifts we've gone through every year since they're gone. I mean, they haven't got to experience that, so I mean, I'm sure they're a part of it, some big scheme, like if they're a speck of, I don't know, an atom somewhere. If you had, they got atoms everywhere. I don't know. Do they accumulate back together in some spiritual form and you there again, you hold? I don't know. But whatever it is, again, I said we stick to hardcore truth and evidence, you know, what we can convict ourselves to that makes damn good sense in 2025. What could I hang my hat on, right? And like my grandfather would often argue with my mom, you know, he'd say, yeah, you gotta have faith and believe, but you still gotta do. And boy, he was so true to. Look, that's it. You still have to do. You can't. Okay, so the less educated, less informed, which this is. I mean, now with the internet and everything, I mean, it's gonna get stupid. People could every walk of life, every gene pool in the world, in the furthest parts of the world, you know, should be able to all become civilized eventually. I mean, I don't know how that's going to work out, but you'd think, huh? So, but they've missed out. What my point is, there's so much that, God, man, like my grandfather, his pacemaker went out. That's how he died. 7 years old. There's no reason he should have died at 66 years old because his pacemaker went out. But that was 1977. That's what they had. That's what it was. Nowadays everything's computerized. You could see what your dad's heart's beat if my father was still alive. But you could monitor somebody else from right here and look at your phone. Oh, look, mom's blood pressure's fine. But so I'm gonna go ahead and end this session and just on my own personal journey transition, in the middle of this transition, because I'm in the middle of it, and that's why I want to record every bit of it, because I know all the work I've done from before my father passed away, when I started studying every single thing I concentrated on, paid attention to, gave energy to, is now coming back to me from way back when. And it's always been here, but now I'm ready to meet it. So you gotta be ready. So, conversations with the self or whatever, when like such a radical change. I was just talking to my best friend, and he said, man, 3 days ago, he said, you remember that conversation you had said this and that? And what he repeated to me was, it was profound, because when he said what I said, I know I said it, however, the way I feel about the same exact thing 3 days ago is totally different. I had to stop him and say, man, I no longer believe that, what I said, and that was the first time I was able to catch myself and be able to do that. So it's an erratic change within me right now. I've put a lot of effort into it, but I forgot about it. This journey that the wheels moving, like I just feel like I just know I've graduated to the last, at 55 years old tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Officially, time-wise, I would have graduated into the best me that I could possibly be. But here goes. I'm only going to have a few years to hold on to it. Maybe longer. But regardless, it's a limitation. Okay? Because and here's where my Donald Trump moment comes in my little John Ray life, right? So I'm not trying to compare myself. I'm saying, look, so I'm gonna run for president. I'm not running for any political office. Now I'm ready if something like that were to appear. If it comes to me, but I'm not going to it, because there's no need, because I don't have to experiment anymore as to what works and what don't work. I know what works and don't work. Not that I have all the answers, no means, but in my everyday logical, illogical, rational, irrational, anger, love, forgiveness, pain, pissed off, all those words that cause any type of aggravation in me, or if it revokes any feeling other than it doesn't really matter, or I don't feel it, okay, when I hear it, and it goes away, well then, okay, there it goes. Just like Carl Jung says, when he gets to the hero part of himself, in his dream, he's climbing this mountain. When he gets to the mountain, there's this big hand that's a chair that for him to sit in, and as he goes, and it falls through, and it just disintegrates into nothing. So you weren't meant to sit. You sat the job's done. You weren't meant to sit in that chair, or just for a second. The bottom line is, you just obtained the wisdom through living, acknowledgement that, okay, here you go, like, I'll go to the next level, or whatever. I gotta pause and just say, man, I have so much running through my mind. I can see it clearly, but I really have to slow it down a bit and come back to you. And as I deal with what made me just hesitate.